Woo! That is, that is torquey. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over the all-new 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E. But first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Miller Ford Lincoln here in Draper for giving me some time with this Mustang Mach-E. Check out their inventory in the link below, and also, this is actually a test drive vehicle, so if you're looking to buy the Mach-E and you wanna drive one, the Ford dealership here in Draper has this one for you to drive. So yeah, check them out. Now normally this is where we go over the engine on a car, but since this is fully electric, well, you don't have an engine under here. You just have extra storage space, which, I mean, you guys can see you've got like all these compartments and everything all throughout. From a storage space perspective, it's pretty good. My favorite part here though is this little button right here. This is if someone gets trapped in the front and it shows like a little arrow and a person running. I think that's a pretty neat little touch, but yeah, that's what's under the hood. Let's go over the front end of the Mach-E. So first off, I absolutely love the design on the hood. It kind of has this like long, sleek hood, so it gives it a sportier appearance. And then you've got these sharp lines here in the center portion, kind of brings everything together. And then popping down below, we've got full LED lights. You've got the LED accent lights that wrap around as well. And then notice all of the black accenting all around with the Mustang logo there in the center portion. And then we do have parking sensors here along the front. Notice there's one on the side on top of that. And this one's got this really nice like metallic white paint. Really love the look of it. But yeah, overall, definitely you can tell it's an electric vehicle from the front end because you don't have a bunch of crazy venting, but it also still looks really cool and aggressive. I'm not sure exactly where to go over this, so we're just going to be looking at the front end and go over this. So in terms of the range, it's 211 miles, and then the power outputs are 266 horsepower and then 428 pound-feet of torque because this is the all-wheel drive model. So coming around the side here, I've got two 25mm tires wrapped around 19-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear, and they didn't do anything too crazy from a design perspective. Like, they didn't make it so that like the whole wheel was covered for aerodynamic purposes. They just did a really good looking wheel on it, and that's everything for the wheel. Notice that you've got your little Mach-E badge there on the side, which I think is pretty neat, and then you've got like the blacked out trim there on the bottom portion. The mirror is also blacked out, and then here's kind of like a full side view. But if we dive back in, this is a little charging port, so you just press, well, you've got to like have the magic touch. There you go. You just press that, and then that's where you charge it. Now let's pop into the back of the Mach-E. So first off, we've got this little like storage bin here in the back, rubber floor covering, and then underneath you've got like a little fix-a-flat kit, which I think is pretty neat. But yeah, other than that, pretty straightforward, but you also do get a little cover here in the back, so it covers everything, and that's all for the rear hatch. Now let's go over the back end of the Mach-E. So first off, I love how they fully blacked out the roof here. So like everything's all blacked out, and then that contrasts nicely to the white paint of this particular car. But yeah, it kind of like slopes down. Notice you've got like the nice line that comes around here. And then I love the taillights because again, this is the Mustang SUV. So you've got the Mustang taillights, got the Mustang horse there in the back. You got your parking sensors all along the rear. And remember, this is fully electric, so no exhaust tips or anything on the back end. And so everything's a lot cleaner looking. Now let's go over the door panel here in the Mach-E. So first off, you got really nice soft touch on this portion of the door panel, and then we're going to rest your arm as well. You got some stitching that goes across, and then notice this does come with the Bang & Olufsen sound system. I love kind of like the material they've done over the speaker, definitely unique. And then coming to the seats themselves, you guys can see you've got the full leather seats. You've got perforated leather there in the center, and then notice you've got the nice leather here with the stitching on the side, and then more perforated leather as well. Just pretty nice design overall. But let's actually pop in. So got to duck just a little bit. If you guys are wondering, I'm 5'11", and yeah, fit back here really well. You guys can see my legroom solid on top of that, and then we do get a couple of vents right here. You've got some USBs as well, and this pulls down to be a couple of cup holders, and then notice the sunroof there at the top. Now let's go over the door panel here in the front of the Mach-E. So first off, you've got nice soft touch leather here, and then down below, just like in the back, and then you've got the nice stitching that goes across. Pretty unique door handle. I mean, you guys saw the opening is weird with the button, but like this, pretty weird too. All of your window controls, you've got your mirror controls. The mirrors do power fold in. You've got your memory seats, and then another speaker for the Bang & Olufsen sound system. And then you've got the Mustang plaque. And then here are the seats in the front. So again, you've got the nice perforated leather that goes all throughout the center portion. You've got the nice bolsters and everything. And then you've got the power adjustments there on the side. And then popping down below, you've got the pedal layout, and then it says Mach-E there on the floor mat. The double pull latch there for the hood. Light controls just up above. Notice you've got the lights off, and then you do have an auto mode, all that kind of stuff. And then the steering wheel is manually adjustable. And there's one more look before we actually pop in. Here's our steering wheel in the Mach-E. So you've got really nice soft touch leather around the entire steering wheel. And then on this side, you've got your voice command, phone controls, volume controls, all that kind of stuff. Mustang horse there in the center. And then you've got your cruise control here on the other side. And then notice you got little stock there for the turn signal. And then you've got the stock for the windshield wipers on the other side. And that's the steering wheel. Now this is the center gauge cluster screen you get in the Mach-E. I think it looks really cool and futuristic. And they keep things pretty simple. It shows you your range. It shows you your battery percentage. And then it also shows you the speed and then what gear you're in, whether you're in park, reverse, neutral, or drive. And you guys know what I mean by gear. This doesn't actually have gears because it's an electric car. But again, you guys know what I mean. But I just like how it's like super simplistic with that screen. Now, as for simplistic screens, the center screen is anything but simplistic. It is crazy. It's a massive tablet. First off, if we pop it into reverse, and you guys can probably hear a little chime. That's just the sound it makes because it's an electric car, so pedestrians know that you're reversing. You do get a backup camera. It's got the little zoom in function on it. And then notice that you've got that bird's eye view, which you can zoom in on different parts of the vehicle as well. Just make sure you don't hit into anything. But yeah, resolution on the camera system's really good, and because the screen's massive, the image you get for the camera is also massive. And then notice that you also do have kind of like the different viewpoints right there with that. So you can just press those little buttons to kind of do that little image right there. But yeah, that's the camera part of it. Now, as for the rest of the screen, there's, again, quite a bit happening. Here, the bottom portion of the screen, notice you've got like your volume controls, and then you have the controls for the seats, and then your heated steering wheel, all that kind of stuff. So like you can press this, and notice that I can turn on the heated seat or I can turn it off. I love kind of like how it just pops up like that. Definitely, again, it's unique, right? Everything about this is very different, and I totally accidentally just turned that on. There we go, off. Anyways, other than the climate section here at the bottom, you've got the rest of the screen, which is absolutely massive. This part you can slide up and down. That's why it's got that little tab on it. It reveals like the navigation. Then you got like the radio there, Bluetooth, phone, all that kind of stuff just down below. But on the screen itself, notice you got your Apple CarPlay, your Android Auto, navigation, all that kind of stuff. Nothing too crazy. This thing's pretty cool. You've got your next EV charge, and what this does is it pops open the navigation screen, and then what it does is it shows me all the areas where I can charge the Mach-E that are around me. So then you don't have to worry about getting stranded, right? I know electric vehicles lead to range anxiety, but this definitely helps out with that. But yeah, other than that, like the screen so far, like it's really easy to use. There's a lot happening on it, but I mean, everything's pretty self-explanatory. Now this is pretty neat. You press the little Mach-E and then it pulls down with the slide down thing. So you can see you've got some stuff like for the camera, the parking, all that kind of stuff. But I think what you guys really care about is the drive mode. So you've got the engage mode, which this is kind of like your normal mode. You've got the whisper, which that's kind of like your better, you know, range mode where you're gonna get a little bit more range out of the Mach-E. And then you've got the unbridled, which is like your fastest accelerating mode. But that's not all. You've got this down here, which, I mean, this stuff right here is not too crazy. You've got your ambient light selection, and then you've got your propulsion sound where you can turn that on or off. The one pedal drive, this is the thing that's interesting. So if you turn it off, then it'll kind of drive like a normal vehicle. But if you turn it on, then what it does is it like goes hardcore with the regenerative braking. And so then when you let off the gas pedal, then what it'll do is it'll basically do the regenerative braking, so then it'll slow down a ton and save you some charge. So you're either on the gas pedal or you're not, and the car is going to be slowing down. Here we've got the wireless phone charger, and then you've got a couple USBs, a couple cup holders, and then we've got our parking assistance right here, and then you've got the hazard lights with the parking brake, and then we've got the gear selector. Again, it's an electric car, so it doesn't actually have gears, but yes. And I can't really call it a transmission selector either because, well, it doesn't technically have it. It's kind of a confusing situation with electric cars, folks. But notice you got the leather here with the stitching, and then with the center console, pretty normal. Nothing too crazy with that. Then more nice stitching and everything. I like the trim here at the top and then here as well. That's kind of like what's around these speakers. And then, I mean, it's got a normal glove box. So, I mean, from an SUV perspective, it's got all the normal practical stuff. Up top here, we do have the sunglass holder. We've got universal garage door opener. And again, you've got the massive sunroof, which it's pretty cool. Like it just gives us kind of like this nice open, airy feel to the interior. So I really like it. So we've got the window sticker here for the Mach-E, and notice single speed transmission. So this technically is a transmission selector. 1 point for the Mach-E, 0 for Ben. I made myself look like an idiot online again. So yeah, I guess we can clap to that or whatever. But anyways, feel free to freeze the frame on any part of this. And then you guys can see $5,000 charge for the extra battery. Anyways, total MSRP, $56,400. Let's take her out and see how she drives. Well, we are setting off here in the Mach-E, and right now I've got the one pedal drive on. I want to show that to you guys, and then I'm going to turn it off for the rest of the review, just because, well, you guys will see. It's kind of, it's like really interesting, and like if I own this car, I would drive it in the one pedal drive mode. But since I'm not used to driving this car, it's kind of a little bit intrusive for me. It's definitely has its like own learning curve. So like right now you can see I'm in one pedal drive. It looks like it drives pretty normal, but as soon as I let off the, I guess we'll call it the accelerator pedal, just slows down hardcore. So that's why they call it one pedal drive, is because you're really not going to use the brakes as much if you are in this mode. And then if I turn it off, so then we go into the, well, I guess we'll call it the two pedal drive, right? Then it just drives like a normal car. So like I accelerate a little bit, I let off, it just kind of coasts. It does slow down a little bit quicker compared to a normal car. So you still kind of get that feel, but it definitely doesn't feel nearly as intrusive as the one pedal drive. But again, the benefit to that one pedal drive is you'll get a little bit more range from the regenerative braking. But so far, really quiet. And I mean, that's kind of like a huge thing with electric vehicles. Really smooth as well. Like I'm impressed. This definitely just, it drives really smooth. I thought that it would kind of ride a little bit rougher because, well, it's supposed to be like the Mustang Mach-E. It's supposed to be kind of like a performance variant, but it still definitely has like a really smooth ride quality to it. We'll kind of go into the engage mode. That's what we'll be in for right now. And then once we get onto the highway, then we'll go into the unbridled for acceleration. Yeah, brakes feel pretty much like normal car brakes. They are a little bit touchier, but they feel normal enough that it wouldn't be too difficult to get used to. And notice with the drive mode that it shows it like lit up with blue to let me know I'm in that drive mode. And if I go over to unbridled, then it'll have that lit up. It looks pretty cool with how it is. But let's actually get our acceleration here, merging onto the interstate. Woo! That is, that is torquey. Man, you just fly with how much torque this has. That is crazy. Man, I mean, that's like a huge thing with electric vehicles though, is they just have so much torque and you just ride on that torque and it just, you get all the torque right at, well, 0 RPMs because it's electric. So it's so crazy with the acceleration. And I mean, we're an electric car, and then we got this Dodge in front of us, which is rolling coal, the exact opposite of what we are trying to accomplish with this electric vehicle. Gosh, Dodge, am I right, Dodge owners? Am I right? I have a Ram. Anyways, on the interstate, really smooth, and you know, I expected to hear more road noise and wind noise because it's an electric car and you don't have the engine. But it's not bad at all. Like, they have done such a good job with insulating the cabin here in the Mach-E that you don't really hear a whole lot from the outside. It actually, yeah, it's really well insulated. I'm very impressed with that. Yeah, the slowing, it slows down enough that even if you're not in the one pedal, then you really don't have to use it. And then if I popped it in, I mean, it would just really slow down. But yeah, so I'm really impressed with this. I'm really impressed with this. I've driven a couple Teslas. I drove the new Jaguar I-Pace, and this, I like this the most. Gosh, that's so quick. That is so quick. Yeah, the acceleration is just perfect with this Mach-E. And the braking, like I said, the braking feel doesn't feel too weird. It is a little bit touchier than what I'm used to, but it's not bad by any means. Let's get another little... Yeah, it's so nice. The acceleration is so effortless. Let's pop into the whisper mode and see kind of how it accelerates differently with that. I'm wondering if it's going to feel significantly slower, if it's still going to feel like the rocket ship that it is. Perfect. We have a red light coming up here, so we'll actually be able to do that. But before we get our acceleration here in the whisper mode, let's actually kind of start to get into summing things up with this Mach-E. So I know a lot of people are kind of upset because this has the Mustang name, but you take away the name and you look at the car for what it is. Price-wise, it's very competitive with Tesla. Tesla has the new Model Y, and this is right where it needs to be pricing. This has more torque than the Model Y. The Model Y does have more horsepower, but this has more torque, and electric vehicles are pretty much all about torque, and I'll demonstrate that right now. Oh yeah, definitely. You can feel a huge difference between the whisper mode and the unbridled mode. Like there's a huge difference in terms of the amount of power you get. That's crazy. With it, like you can actually perceive the difference between the two. But back to the Model Y compared to this. So more torque here, more horsepower there. And the Model Y, you know, range-wise, Tesla's pretty good, but you've got so many charging stations nowadays that it's like, you know, it's cool to have a higher range, but it's not like it's a huge necessity. I mean, you guys saw on the map, just within this small area, there was like 6 or 7 charging stations. So like, you have a million places that you can charge it. And then from an appearance standpoint, this looks so much better than the Tesla. Like this just looks sporty and cool, and the interior, I really like the whole layout of this. And then something to mention is fit and finish. So like, I'm not trying to call Tesla out too much, but like I've seen so many Teslas with like huge panel gaps, and you've got like upholstery issues and all that kind of stuff. Whereas Ford, right, they've been out for over a century. They know how to build cars. And so the fit and finish on this compared to a Tesla is so much better. And so just like as an overall package, I feel like this looks better than the Tesla Model Y. The acceleration's great. The range, you know, maybe it's not as much, but it's still good. And there's tons of charging stations. And, you know, you're not going to see as many of these as the Teslas initially, so this is a little bit more unique. So like as a Tesla competitor, I think Ford nailed it, and I would get this over the Tesla. Now that is going to sum things up for our video on this new 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry H. Miller Ford Lincoln here in Draper for giving me some time with this Mach-E demo. Check out their inventory in the link below. I'll see all of you in the next video.